I can't think of a starting music, so... Alright everyone, I had some elaborate joke involving like a four-step reference to Dommy bursting being referred to as fireworks in Guilty Gear, and that was going to be my segue into talking about the film Fireworks that I saw today, but I completely forgot to do it, and my media play was sitting on the Castlevania soundtrack, so that's what we're going with today. Hello and welcome to another Pichy and Palscast.
Hello.
Yes, the #1 Australian anime fighting game radio show, and I have a old faithful here today, Giggles454. His little picture popping up on the screen there. And we'll be talking
Hopefully.
about... Yes, it's right there. It should be nice and visible. And we're going to be talking about that anime game that came out in a bit. But first of all, I want to see, since this is my show and I can do whatever the hell I want, you're going to be my sounding board for talking about the film Fireworks that I just saw. This was a Japanese...
Alrighty, let's do it.
This was a Japanese animated film by Studio Shaft. Now, Studio Shaft is a fairly small studio, which has a lot of very creative folk. And the studio's basically been divided into two-thirds for a while. There was a third of people who were working on this film. A third of the studio was working on the Kizumonogatari films. And, well, I say it's a third, but it was more like that was about 3/5 of the studio were working on those films for the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was just a few dregs who are actually having to do with the Monogatari TV shows, which is part of why they all have no animation for the most part. So, Fireworks, the Kizumonogatari films finally finished coming out last year, and the TV Monogataris have wrapped up, and so this is about it for their current projects. So, Fireworks. It really reminded me about how much... I haven't talked about the Monogatari series much in general with anime peeps in the fighting game community. And it's because it's not really something that you want to talk about with people, because it's equally parts horribly pretentious and really, really unashamedly trashy. So it's something that you only bring up if you know that it's someone who gets it and is willing to revel in the filth a bit. So... But even so, I was actually really reminded while watching this film about how enjoyable and engaging that series is. Because Fireworks was a very pretty film with really nicely constructed visuals that conveyed the ideas and the plot very well, but it was really, really shallow and dull. The characters didn't do much. It had a bunch of interesting plot gimmicks, which it didn't really do anything with. It was just a series of smooth, crisp images played in a sequence that was comprehensible. But I will say in its favour, beyond the fact that it was pretty and shallow, one thing that was very nice is, way too often in Japanese 2D animated works, they use 3D CG stuff for all sorts of reasons. I mean, that's been an industry standard across animation since The Lion King, where there's large chunks of that film which are cel-shaded. But this was one of those rare cases in a Japanese work where they actually understood the importance of having a frame rate for the 3D CG that matches up perfectly with the base frame rate that the 2D is going at. So you don't have any of those weird, really, really uncanny valley jarring moments that just break your emotion of, hey, look, here's the big computer 3D thing. It moves completely differently to everything else because it's just an automatically tweened thing running at twice or half the frame rate of everything else. No, none of that. It was like, say, that paper short, the paper plane short over it was that Disney did a few years ago. It was like that. It was just smooth and crisp, and you didn't notice it. So that was nice. I've been wanting to do some podcasts for a while discussing film and animation and things, and I think you've met my friend Matt before, haven't you, Alex?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, he hates anime, and so I think this would be a fun film to make him watch and listen to him complain about. So that's my review of Fireworks. If you're a big animation nerd who just likes to look at the form and technical aspects of animation, worth seeing. If you're interested in an engaging story and visuals that match, then there's probably something better you could be watching. Sort of online movie or whatever. In the Alright, next point. Did you see any of the Blazblue Cross Tag Battle footage that's been coming out from...
I've seen a bit of it, yes. I've seen a bit of it. The damage is wild. It'll probably
Oh
get
boy,
toned
is
down
the
a
damage
bit.
wild. The damage... I mean, so damage in fighting games, if you haven't been paying attention to the early stages of fighting game development, almost every fighting game that comes out starts off with much higher than the final product damage. This is because people like to just toy around with, okay, which elements of the game are way too effective when they're at this high damage, and it also means that when you're doing location tests or at events, doing things like this, it means that matches go quicker, and so people get booted off the cabs quicker, so the line ride is a lot less painful. As well as giving...
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, like, that's a very important logistic concern. And the other is just that it gives that extra oomph and feels that much more satisfying as a first impression when you only get to play once or twice in an entire day to go, yeah, man, I hit them with this super, and it did 3/4 of their life. Awesome. Though it's worth mentioning...
My brother can do a 10-hit combo, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, 3-hit combos in this game in a super doing, like, 60%. The other thing is, though is interesting, is that though we did see, like, Bragner doing 6A 5D into Super, and it did, like, 60%.
Yeah.
But, if you look at a bunch of the footage that came out, there's a couple of times where players would do AAA mash, like, crouching A mash. And that scaled the crap out of the combo damage. So, I think...
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that the final product is going to be a game where it will just have very heavy damage scaling based on your starter. Even if they don't do, like, Blazblue style massive hit stun reductions, they're definitely doing heavy damage proration, like probably a 60% pro rate on crouching A starters. Did you look
kind of like Persona was, I believe.
Yeah, Persona was not quite that heavy on jab starters, but it was
certainly not 60%, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we have the mechanics.
But yeah, just on the topic of BB Tag, a lot of the move lists in themselves have been simplified a lot. There's a lot of a certain
when we say
directional moves. Yeah.
So it's like it's easy to talk about when we say simplified. I don't like to use the word simplified when discussing what they've done with the move list. I think truncated is a better word because like basically everyone's got a quarter forward move, a quarter back move, and a quarter forward or quarter back move in the air, which is much like what Dengeki did. Which is obviously, it's something that you want to do to keep things simpler. So there's less stuff in your info stack for people who are newcomers to fighting games. But the other thing is that it does mean do not expect the characters that you like to play very similarly to how they played in other games. Much like how some of the characters in stuff like World Heroes, when they got transitioned to Neo Geo Battle Coliseum, wound up playing very, very differently, or even when characters went up in KOF, sometimes this would happen. The point is, they're much smaller move lists, so characters are really going to be boiled down to one or two definitive moves. Like, Ragnar is pretty much just going to be his DP and Gauntlet Hades, I think. Like, expect a lot more of that. So, like, even though we saw things like his hit grab, I think that's actually going to be one of his normals, because there's 4 buttons. Actually, no, there's 5 buttons, which makes it a bit unique as far as the games included, because the games included are all 4-button games, but this is a 5-button one. So there was basically attack 1. I mean, we'll just call them A, B, C, D, and E, just for simplicity's sake. But A and B were the only regular attack ones. So A was your lights, and B was your medium/heavies. Because C was universal overhead or universal sweep. And in order to get more combo filler, because Arc System Works loves having just lots of hits and people doing moves in fighting games. So the game actually has a similar system to Dragon Ball FighterZ, or my all-time favorite fighting game, Phantom Breaker, where you have AAA and BBB. And so you can go AAA, BBB, and then do special move or super. The other thing to mention is that the universal overhead and universal sweep, if you hit those on someone, they'd automatically followed up with a super, which is another part of the reason why you would see such big damage on the supers, is because it's just this one hit you confirm off of a heavy move, which is usually in how Arc System Works damage scaling goes. It's usually a good way to do big damage. Like, if you just do counter hit 5H with Soul into Tyrant Rave, that hits like a truck.
Oof.
So, like, that's a
Goodbye,
consistent
health.
thing, not even a Blazblue thing, that's just a consistent thing about Arc System Works games. And
because the scaling hasn't kicked in at that point yet.
yeah, that's one where I actually think it's an interesting thing to talk about. Tests of skill in fighting games. And just in games in general, because I wrote a blog post earlier in the week talking about Cuphead, which is a game which is having some dumb, stupid conversations around it. One thing I wanted to talk about in that piece was the importance of when you're designing a game that's testing skills, the two questions that you need to ask are, what skills are you actually intending to test? And how can you ensure that as many people as possible can have those skills tested? And the example I gave was, you could build, say, a strength testing machine, you swing the hammer at the puck, and then a little thing goes flying up and hits a bell if you're strong enough. And that's obviously testing your ability to swing a hammer and how much physical strength you have. But if you, say, elevated that on a platform which is only accessible by a ladder, then paraplegics, they have the ability to swing a hammer and have lots of core strength and arm strength. But if you've put it up there only accessible by a ladder, then you've actually locked them out of taking the test in the first place. And I'm bringing all this up in relation to the overheads going into supers because I think that one of the skills of fighting games that often gets a little bit ignored or downplayed is the importance of hit confirming. The ability to recognize, I have hit someone, now what do I get off this? How can I turn this stray hit into something rewarding? This is what I like a lot about Guilty Gear, is it's very often a game where, due to the wacky hitboxes and the movement speed, there's lots of those stray situations where, okay, I've hit someone, do I have the situational awareness to be able to recognize that I've hit them in time, and then have the knowledge of what I need to do to follow that up and turn it into something nice? And if you look at something like...
Yeah.
Oh, you've got something?
I was just going to say, yeah, I really appreciate that aspect and the ability to do that within anime games. And it's something I really strive for, to become good at in anime games. Yeah.
It's like, part of why Nemo's mashing of Nova's standing jab in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is so iconic is because a lot of how you hit confirm in Marvel 3 is off of things like beam assists, where there's a big pile of hit stun, you go, okay, it's hit them, or say Virgil Rapid Slash, where it sends them flying in the air and all the way up and all the way down. So when you see the situation who's able to convert a couple of jabs and then hit it a bit harder, so okay, get those 5 jabs, it's all the funny because it's the sort of clean hit confirm that you don't see a lot of in Marvel 3. But my absolute favorite, since we're going to be talking about Marvel Infinite later, my absolute favorite Marvel 3 hit confirms, and are the ones that are really, really important to learn and are actually quite difficult, is the maximum super jump height hit confirms.
Yes.
Like those moments where that Magneto's able to just catch them with that A, and then manage to convert it into a full hoo loop and knock them down to do some stuff for. Like Spencer's super jump hit confirms. When you see a player like Nemo or any of the Spencer gods doing that stuff for Combo Fiend in the early days, that was really exciting to watch.
They're always great, yeah. You've got the example of Doom's super jump, at super jump height. You've got Buttergun with Doom, and seeing people somehow convert off that,
yes.
Always a great feeling, yeah.
So, I'm a bit concerned that obviously, Blazblue Cross Tag Battle is aiming to be a simpler game, but I feel that it's going to wind up failing to test some of the more interesting aspects of fighting games and you're learning to play fighting games. Those are some of the moments that can really make you feel like you're getting it and you're clicking when you start to really understand the value of things like hit confirming.
That's true.
Oops, turns out I didn't link in the anime Discord. The stream is up. Alright, so the other thing to mention about with Blazblue Cross Tag Battle, so assists are interesting, and I'm glad that they are very different from any of the other team-based fighting games at the moment. So basically, you can push the assist button, or you can hold it or something like that. Basically, you can call them and make them do a canned assist, or you can hold it for longer, spend more of your assist gauge, and input a bunch of moves for them so they can do a little string of stuff. So that's the sort of free-form luckiness I think is going to be fun.
I believe it was I think it was tied to just forward assist, neutral assist, or back assist, and then one of those directions causes them to do an auto combo, I believe, judging by some of the Twitter posts I've seen.
And then finally...
But I'm definitely willing to be wrong on that one. Yeah.
And finally, the 5th button, I believe, is the super mode button, basically.
Yes,
Which,
resonance.
yes, and when you got both characters out, it does something. I think it works a bit like Marvel 1 Infinite Meter Mode, or the basically the Soul Infinity Storm. Just both characters are out and doing stuff, I think is what it does. And if you got one person only left, then it basically is X Factor. But as well as the HP regen and the damage boost, you also just gain a ton of meter. And since combos in the super do a lot of damage, then you have a much higher damage potential for a while. So, it's a comeback mechanic, and they're a pretty common thing these days. And one which actually requires you to land hits in the first place, rather than just making it easy to land those hits, is usually one that is a bit more satisfying.
And I can't remember, is there rapid cancel in
No,
cross tag?
as far as I've seen, there's none,
Ooh.
which is the most interesting thing about the game, and why I'm really able to really run Neo Geo Battle Coliseum comparisons, is that, as far as I can recall, there was no bursts and there was no rapid cancels. So it's probably going to be a bit of a slobber knocker game. And hey, like games where you can just hit buttons and see wacky stuff happen, games that are good fun to bring around to mates and hit buttons with, and I really think that's what they're going for with this game. A game that you just bring to mates and hit buttons in and go, yo, that's sick. My Yunarakami? Yeah, he's the coolest dude ever. No, when Ragnar's way cooler. He is the blood scythe. And then some other guys are, I like Ruby, and he just gets booted out of the house. It's okay, Juan. We won't boot you out of the house. Other thing to mention that's a bit interesting is that the throws are like Blazblue green throws. So that's going to be like the 18 frame window, I guess. And there's no purple throws, so you can't throw people in hit stun or in block stun with the big tech window. Which is surprising that it's not in there, considering not only does Blazblue have that mechanic, but Undenied Inbirth also does. And this game is not using it in either case. What is also interesting, so it's basically like, essentially modern Street Fighter throw input. But the game does have throw, reject, miss. So if you miss time when you think a throw's coming, then you'll just get thrown and you won't be allowed to tech it. And that really surprises me, its inclusion, because the game doesn't have any barrier or faultless defense. And the reason throw, reject, miss was implemented is because in Blazblue Calamity Trigger, if you're holding back and you push A plus B plus C, or even if you mash it, then you will constantly get barrier, and you'll get throw tech if they try to throw you. Which is why the solution that Mori decided to implement from Continuum Shift onwards is, okay, you can mash on that throw tech option select all you want, but if you mistimed it, then you'll just get thrown anyway. So you need to actually time correctly when you're going to input the option select. So there's no barrier, so I really don't know why that mechanic's there, and I'm hoping that there's more to the game that just hasn't been implemented yet, that will reveal itself in time, since we don't know exactly when that game's coming out, and as always, the longer games have to be developed, the better they will be. You there? Okay, Alex isn't saying anything, so other point that I'll mention while I'm here, before we move away, and hopefully he'll be back in time for Marvel talk, is backgrounds. The game is just flat out recycling backgrounds. Whoa, he's disappeared entirely. Hopefully he'll be back. So, the backgrounds are completely recycled from the games that are included. There's Blazblue backgrounds, Persona backgrounds, and Undenied Inbirth backgrounds. And the two things that I'd like to say about this is, firstly, it really reminds me just how great the French bread backgrounds are, because they've got deep, visually pleasing colors, which are also mentally calming, which is something that you want. You want your backgrounds to set the tone, but also not distract. You want your foreground objects to be the most important, and to be nice and clear and understandable. The other thing is, so it's a good demonstration of how good the French bread ones are, and also how good a lot of the Persona 4 backgrounds are. The Blazblue backgrounds always feel a bit cluttered, and with there being so many more characters on the screen, it feels that much more cluttered in the footage where they're using a Blazblue stage. And the other lesson, this is a kind of an interesting decision to make, because although, obviously if you're making a crossover game like this, you're just recycling as many assets as possible, but even SNK, when they were making King of Fighters games, SVC Chaos, Neo Geo Battle Coliseum, and Capcom when they made Capcom vs SNK, they all understood the value in making entirely new backgrounds, not only to make the game feel a bit less cheap, but also so you could have stuff that fits with the sort of visuals that are going on in the foreground, with it being a big team game. You there, Alex?
Sorry about that.
That's okay. You've turned into a bit of a robot voice, but I think we will manage. I just talked a bit about backgrounds there. So, that's about it for the main topic. Are there any questions that I have sitting here? Oh, yes, yeah, there's push block and it uses meter in Blazblue. Stephen, if you would like to jump in the chat, then you can, but I'm not sure how much Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite you've been playing. So let's talk about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. First of all,
Let's do it.
Southern Cross Championships 2017. There will be a $1,000 pot bonus. Whoa, we got a Steven in here as well.
Hello.
Whoa.
Hello there.
Steve pick. I don't have a Steve pick sitting here, so I won't be able to.
But there's the Steve pick.
I mean, there's the
I guess
Steve
you don't
pick.
have the original.
I don't have the original. If you would send that to me sometime, I'll be able to display the iconic Queensland meme of Speedline Steve.
I'll get it.
So is there something you would like to say about Blazblue Cross Tag Battle before we move on to Marvel?
Yeah, I mean, because I've been following it pretty closely as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like, yeah, obviously it's kind of, I think it looks like you could look at it and go like, oh, look, it looks dumbed down or whatever, and it probably is, but I think one of the coolest parts is that the reverse beat is really lenient. Like, you can do, like, Ragnar 5B into 2B, back into 5B or whatever, or, like, do the whole string and then go back into another string. And I think that's really cool.
Well, I mean, that's...
But it does kind of...
That's just Guilty Gear and BlazBlue Gatlings, where the only reason you can't do block strings like that forever usually is because Faultless defense pushes you out, or just the natural pushing out is high enough. So
that's true, but...
Like, for example, if, just say, Justice didn't have... Actually, no, I think Kai has a bunch where it's like Close Slash and 6P can chain into each other constantly. It's just that you get pushed out enough that it isn't an infinite, whereas...
yeah, that is true.
Like, Revelator 1.1 Jam was the one... No, it was 1.3. 1.3 Jam was when they actually gave her a block string which worked like that. There was barely any pushback on a couple of buttons which all gatlinged into each other. So she would just go, foul, 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 hey, 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 foul, foul. Sorry, my pitches is terrible today because my throat's a bit sore. Hi! And if you didn't faultless it, then she would just get you up to maximum guard bar, and there wasn't anything you could do about it. So I think it's less we've got reverse beats and more just that we have gatlings that all gatling into each other without much pushback, which is probably why they've implemented just a flat push block.
Yeah, I mean, it is, I mean, but it is also, like, you can use, like, pretty much anything in a string twice.
Yeah.
And I think that's good because of how the strings work, and it's like, if there wasn't that, it would be a lot more limited.
It'll also help if there's... I mean, certainly it allows for more creativity in how you stagger, which is always nice, because that's a fun way of testing people's patience without just having, here is the canned move that is plus. And if you see this move, then you just gotta hold it. Having a bit of variety of when something different's going to come out is always nice. Are there less moves available because it's 2-button, or are there just more directional inputs? There's probably going to be a few less moves unless you do extra commitment to certain strings. But there will probably also be a bunch of directional normals.
So they've changed some of the properties as well. For example, like Ragnar 6A no longer launches.
Yeah, so because I found like the full translation of like moves to the new format. So the way it works, it's basically like the A button is basically the B button, and the B button is basically the C button.
Yes.
And the only command normals.
Low button.
Yeah, that's the dust button.
Yes.
So basically, it's like you have standing and crouching. And that's it. Except for the A button, you can press 4A for a standing jab.
Cool. Persona.
And then everything else is just like So, like, for Ragnar, for example, so 4A would be his 5A.
Yep.
5A would be his 5B.
5B.
And then, for some reason, his 5B is his 6A. And that's the weird one.
I mean, that's like
and-
anytime a character gets transferred into a completely different system, you always have those weird moments of familiarity yet complete confusion. Like if you play Heart in Arcana Heart, and then you play Heart in Nitro Plus Blasters, everything's familiar yet different. All the buttons are in weird spots that you don't expect, but they are all still there. You just got a different muscle memory.
It also works in like the way of they needed to keep him having an anti-air, but they didn't want to put 6 normals in the game.
Yep.
So they just put it on a 5 normal.
It'd be very
and he already has
because
here
you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and he already has 5B as a button that you can just hit for neutral. So it's like, well, it doesn't really need anything else in that department.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that it's particularly risky to have 6 inputs, because if you push forward in this game, you run. Though I believe that has already been altered in some builds.
No. So you so like you can walk backwards fine, and there's backdash.
Yes.
Holding forward will give you a run.
Yep.
But there's like if you stop, there's the skid, but you can block.
Yeah. Basically.
So if you hit back, you can block immediately. Yeah,
I think Uniel's the same way, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Uniel
Uniel's
is
the same way. Yeah,
It's
you have the
Persona
skin
where-
animation, but you can block during it.
Oh, it's a big part of why I often compare Uniel to KOF, is that the running is similar, along with all the other similarities those two games have. Play Uniel, it's cool, everyone. So is KOF 14. I told my KOF story last time, though. So, let's talk about Marvel, finally. So first up, as a quick reminder, Southern Cross Championship, $1,000 pot bonus. Please enter Southern Cross Championships. It'll be fun. It's always fun. There are more anime game announcements coming up for Southern Cross, so we'll keep you posted when those go up. I was hoping to have some announceables ready in time for tonight, but I don't. But they are coming. Don't you worry, we're not leaving out the anime games. Well, of course, my first point for talking about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, since this is the first time the game's really out and we're getting our teeth into it, is this game is undeniably, perhaps even more so than Marvel 3, this game is absolutely an anime game. It's not about super crazy super jump height shenanigans. It's not even about flight shenanigans that often. It is a game where you run along the ground and you instant air dash and you do late air dash and sometimes you throw people. I do like that they have cross-tech and throwing.
Oh boy. Here you go.
Yeah, I do like
it is one hell of a game.
I do like that the throwing is version 2013 cross Tekken throws, where they deplete red life. What I don't like, because I think that's a fun mechanic and a good reward for getting a throw, rather than just, you get a combo but it's 50% scaling because it was the throw. The problem is that there are some characters who get combos off throws with 50% scaling, and there's a bunch of characters who don't. Like, you want that sort of mechanic to either be universal, or don't have it at all. Just have it that you take away the red life. And
50% scaling and the hit stun deterioration is at such a severe point at that point, and after a throw that you barely get anything. You get about 5% damage.
But then you do the hit stun deterioration reset glitch, and then keep going, and then you do a 60% combo.
No, it does work off throws. It's just that the the checkpoint is at 3,500 damage for the combo, rather than the 7,300 that you need for a regular hit stun decay dish glitch.
Good luck getting 3,500 off of a throw.
You know who I reckon probably can? Dante from the Devil May Cry series. I'm not sure if I said it last week, but at the moment Dante is looking like one of the best characters in this game, and I have a very, very firm policy on Dante from the Devil May Cry series TM when it comes to his inclusion in fighting games, which is, he should always be top tier. It's frickin' Dante. The more top tier you make him, the more that you get to freestyle and be crazy and be creative. So cool. Dante should always be top tier. He's like Slayer. Dante should always be top tier. Giggles is so disgusted with this claim that he's signed off. Oh no,
it's alright, Pichy. I agree with you. I play Dante, and he's very fun.
He's a cool dude, and I like that he's got completely different buttons, and they're still really ridiculous. Look at this amazing reach on this standing low that if you chain into the stinger becomes an overhead.
Becomes an overhead. Oh, I got people with that as well. And it wasn't like a complete accident as well.
And then when
It's
they start switching their block correctly, you then just do the standing low into raw tag command grab.
Oh, I've never done that.
You were telling me how good Dante was, Pichy, and I was like, oh yeah, he's pretty good probably. And then like right after you told me that, Northwest Majors top 8 was on. I think about 6 out of the top 8 teams had Dante in them. I was like, oh damn, Pichy was right.
Always listen to Pichy. Don't treat Pichy like Cassandra. Listen to him. My predictions of Doom are always correct. I will tell you when Troy will fall.
You said that Kum was better than Raven. I knew Raven would be better than Kum.
Oh, that's a bad one.
I'll never forget that.
I don't really recall. I said how early was this?
This was when we were. I was like, oh, I think he's pretty good. I think he's probably better. Like, Kum's slow characters are never good. You're like, nah, Kum's got a lot of potential.
Oh yeah, this was like the first week when there was still a bunch of wacky setups for Kum. And I was just, nah, Raven just meets his KPIs with minimal effort. Alright, you got me. I apologize, everyone. Never listen to Pichy ever again. So,
but yeah, the throw system is a fair bit different from Marvel 3. It's certainly not one frame. It certainly is not as reliable as an anti-air. And anti-airs, and of course you don't get as big combos like Touch of Deaths off of them.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
I just want the reward off throws to be consistent across the cast. I would like them to be a bit faster and more reliable, especially since this is a game where you have throw in vol on wake up if you're holding jump, as well as about 5 frames of reliability. Which is an interesting... I mean, it certainly accentuates how important OTG resets are in this game. You want very low to the ground air tech resets in this game, because then people can't tech roll,
you don't want
have
them
the invol and jumping, they get nothing.
You don't want them to be able to roll out unless you've got like a beam super as a meaty or $1 million, of course, because it's Dante.
You want $1 million Ghost Rider super?
Good old Ghost Rider.
I do like that Ghost Rider is actually good in this game.
Yeah.
It certainly helps that the screen is so much... There's so much less vertical space in particular in Marvel, in Infinite.
That helps the big characters so much in this game. How much smaller the screen
and the
is.
chain buttons. It's just a shame that he says "chain" now instead of "eat chain," because that was half the reason to play Ghost Rider. You got to eat chain and do the penance stare where the camera spins around like crazy. Instead, now the camera's just this Star Wars prequel trilogy fixed shot with a slow zoom in, and you get to.
There isn't even a zoom in. It's just fixed.
It's just a fixed shot. It's just like buy my
just
t-shirt
that his
from the share zone.
His eyes just glow a little bit brighter, and maybe that's like the effect of zooming in.
There's apologies. We don't want to harp on about the art because I think it's pretty well known at this point that this game has questionable. It has a wide range of artistic decisions which start at questionable and end at terrible, and like that's well known, and it's just a facet of the game. This is what happens when you have poor direction on a game with way too little dev time. Although, it is amazing just how many subtle things, like all the little details that can make something really have that extra oomph and satisfaction to landing just aren't there. There's barely any screen shake. There's very little use of flashes. All the little touches...
The noises aren't good either.
Yeah, the sound design isn't as good. Just all the little touches that make Marvel Capcom 3 one of the best looking games ever made, in my opinion. And I'm not talking fighting games, they're just computer games in general. Marvel 3 is gorgeous. You know my mum? My mum hates computer games. She once saw people playing Marvel 3 and said, that is the most beautiful video game I've ever seen. Completely unironically. Because it's gorgeous.
It is good.
But Morrigan's freckles are pretty sweet.
They are, yeah. One of the things that annoys me that I haven't seen anyone talk about, aside from the lag in the menus, but specifically about the sound.
Wait,
and ironically, this would actually take more effort, is that the level 3s have multiple voice lines. I've counted 3 voice lines, so they're not as memorable. You can't remember them as well, and then as a result, they're not as quotable.
You know what was the best line?
Also, I gotta say, Alex, I have the lag in the menus too. I thought I was crazy.
No.
It's so bad.
horrible.
All the
It's
UI
so
feels like
bad.
a mobile game, both in look and in
like,
reaction times.
It's just like, how does this take like a whole second for me to just go to the next option? Like, what? Like, how is my computer not dealing with this? It's so weird.
Takes so long to like move between characters. Oh my god.
Oh, Death Cargo feels more satisfying than Marvel Infinite than Fiery. Let's not go there, Fiery. As much as I love to make jokes about Death Cargo, I'm gonna respect Marvel. There are some things that feel good. Like, we haven't talked about the tag system at all, but I actually do really like the tag system as far as a creative idea. Just in some ways, this almost does feel like a sequel to previous Marvel vs. games, and also to Skullgirls, where Skullgirls, Mike was pushing heavily the idea that you could choose each character's assist beforehand, and it was anything in their move list. And Marvel Infinite does go the step further, saying the entire move list can be assist in match. It's just do a move, then call a tag. And you can make up all sorts of crazy shenanigans. Do a low into a command grab, and they prevents them from being in pre-jump. Do like the Doctor Strange bolts and then tag, and you've got a beam assist. That stuff is really fun. And I like we've seen particular with all the mighty Sonic Fox sets of late. And really just anyone who's been playing Jetta. Just Jetta tossing aside then doing a tag into stuff is just really cool anime Oki. It is undeniably anime Oki way more than a Marvel reset. You can't tech roll through this, mate. He's put down the frickin' tandem top then rolled.
There's also like my team, Dante Dormammu. It's like, oh, I got you in a block string. Let me just put the black hole on you, tag, and then it's like, well, now I get a 3-way mix-up between overhead, low, and cross-up. And it's like, cool, and there's nothing you can do about it. And
That's stupid, Carpet. Why does that stay on hit? Oh my god.
Dante dropped the combo so he could do $1 million, then tag, and Dormammu charges up the thorns.
You don't even do $1 million. You do Crazy Dance, and then you have enough time to charge it up.
Yeah, it just
and then do it.
And then the spending meter. Yeah.
Okay, no, you have enough time to charge all 3, do it, and then charge all 3 again, and then put down a meaty normal, and then do it, and then tag back out. Yeah.
Yeah, in
pretty good.
general, this game is pretty. Dormammu, I've come to garden.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Very
I
good
apologize. Thank you for that. Thank you for no selling my bad puns. I kind of feel, though, even with all this wackiness, it sucks. It really, really sucks if you are a solo character. If you've got one character left, if you've been able to whale. So, part of the problem I feel is that in most other Marvel games, a lot of supers are safe on block. In this game, they had what would be the conventional sense of making them all very punishable on block. But this is actually the game where they probably need the most to be safe, because they're all going to be plus on block if you can tag, and if you can't, then you have no way of being able to just check someone with any sort of safety behind it. Like, beam supers...
You're taking such a huge risk.
Yeah, like, and considering how little uses there are for meter when you've got one character left, and there's no... and the X Factor equivalent isn't quite as wacky. In some ways, it's wackier than X Factor. In other ways, like,
that's controversial.
Like, the burst damage potential when you got one character is not there, because you don't have the, like, 450% damage increase if you're Virgil.
And you don't have snapbacks either, as another use of the meter.
Yeah, so I'd like to see just a better incentivization of meter, even if they slightly altered the frame data for when it's a solo character, just so the supers are an option to just check people. And get some extra space coverage out. So, you probably need to talk
Do you want to talk about the storms?
Oh, storms, so... The first thing is, this is actually something where I want to talk about the art for a bit. Because I was mentioning while you were offline, that I feel that Blazblue Cross Tag Battle is really accentuating how good the French red backgrounds are at being aesthetically pleasing, suiting the theme, and unobtrusive. They do not get in the way of the important stuff of the match. When you're in,
And they don't have any silly white backgrounds.
if
Or
you're
the
in
Shadow
Infinity
Labyrinth.
Storm, the background becomes all one fixed color, and these colors are like red
Yeah.
and yellow and orange, which are terrible colors to have as backgrounds. And not only that, but the player characters also become this same color.
That's the thing that gets me.
Everything just has this awful filters put on, so everything is horribly obscured. Everything's blending into each other. It's like, we've made jokes before, because obviously X Factor made your characters flash really red in Marvel 3. But on Bon Wonderland and the training stage and Shield Air Show, this was perfectly fine, because you had these vibrant background, these light backgrounds, which were unobtrusive, and this dark glowing thing in the foreground. And the problem, and one of the problematic things that we had in casuals and the like, is whenever Rob would play Chun-Li with the Dark Lady color on Shield on the Helicarrier at night and activate X Factor, there's just this black thing mashing lightning legs, and you have no idea where it is. And Infinity Storm,
The Tridashes were unseeable.
yeah, and Infinity Storm is that. It's just everything is blending into each other. There's no way to distinguish stuff from the foreground and background, and it's just flat out terrible artistic design. And it leads to less interesting game design as well.
The worst is the Soul Stone, because they have two characters. They're crossing up through you somehow, and the most you have to see is to distinguish which character's on point, because of course that's the character you need to block correctly, is this tiny little icon above one of their head, and it's so hard to see when both of those characters are flailing. Yeah.
Now, I do know the reason that those characters are crossing through you. It's because you're playing against Kieran, and Captain America's mashing roll.
Of course.
Mashing roll,
cartwheeling through me while
Gamma Charge.
Throwing meteors.
Gamma Charge, Gamma Charge, Gamma Charge, Meteor, Meteor, Meteor. But Captain America's rolling back and forth around you, and sometimes accidentally getting a shield toss, and that's when you can hit him. This is
And
such
why
a
does Hulk's,
Kieran-friendly game.
what is it, Gamma Crush, the one where he gets the meteor from the sky, even if he doesn't have Captain America, that by itself can cross you up now. It did not do that before.
What?
Well,
I've had it cross me up so many times.
Wesker's not in the game anymore, so someone else has to have the, you mean nothing to
Or the
me,
Virgil.
and then it hits from behind. Yeah, the Virgil Dimension Slash was way less consistent than the Wesker one. It's just, Wesker made you block
I don't
mid-screen,
agree.
you mean nothing to me.
Virgil was more.
It's like, if Wesker hit you with the last hit of it, he would get the combo.
Oh
Wesker.
dear.
Marvel
No, but yeah, the thing that another thing that differentiates it from X Factor is when you're first of all when you're incoming, you're invul until you hit the ground if you activate it. Whereas X Factor, it was just I'd say 1 frame of invul and then 1 frame of recovery. It's a very quick thing. Whereas this, you're invul until you hit the ground, but also you can't move till you hit the ground. So there's a bit of a differentiation there. But the other big thing is you can get 2 of these goddamn cursed soul storms per round, and you have to kill Hulk so many damn times in the match.
See, that I like because it's at least a different meta to what everyone else is exploring. Because we're getting to the point where it's just, if you don't know what to do, you pick reality because you push buttons and then the screen is ice. Or
That's what I do.
Or if you've got a very Melia style setup, like Sonic Fox does, then you put him in the box. And then you get tandem tops on top of the box, so there's no jumping out and disrespecting. They gotta hold that sucker while, Rocket Raccoon starts instant overheading you. Which is cool, and it's great. I'm always happy when Sonic Fox is winning a game. He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Now, shall we talk about it?
Yeah?
Alright.
Let's chat.
Web Ball.
Reality Stone.
Thank you. So, there is an infinite in this game. It involves... Basically, you do anything you want with a character, and put the opponent in hit stun while you tag in Spider-Man, who jumps back twice, and then does Web Ball, and then Reality Stone until you die. I do like... the ultimate proof that this game is anime is that it has bursts, but... You cannot burst projectiles.
It doesn't work.
And the Spider-Man Infinite is nothing but projectiles. So, I think the community has reached a consensus to ban the combo now. Is that true, Mr. Marvel legend Alex Gigny?
Yeah, they're gonna ban it.
Now, it's always an interesting topic to talk about whether infinites should be banned. And the first thing is this combo is so freaking easy to police that it's a very logistics of when to ban things in games is very important. Like it was easy to ban the zero glitch where you could snap someone out and their entire team disappeared from the game in Marvel 3. So like that one was easy to police, so it's fine. This combo is so easy to police, so that's fine. So logistically, it's good to ban it. And you cannot burst this combo, so like it removes and you compare this to Marvel 3, where you couldn't burst combos in that game ever. So and the game was so heavily built around kill combos that TAC infinites were just another form of kill combo that gave the opponent way more meter than any other sort of kill combos. So that's part of why they were acceptable. Whereas this one, you can't burst out of, and it really, really makes, since this is a 2-character game, it makes the game so much more reductive. It's just, you have a character who's built around getting a hit, and then Spider-Man finishes them off very, very, very slowly. So it really stagnates the meta at a point where you need as much exploration of the meta as possible for the game to really get on its feet. So I think we can talk about while we're here. I mean, the other thing that comes through is a lot of, how did this get through testing? Isn't it obvious you would test the situation? And it's just, no. This is a reality stone hitting a web. It's not even that there's a reality stone hitting the web. It is a reality stone hitting immediately before another web makes contact at a very certain spacing on the screen. And like a lot of the rules on paper for the web ball and how many times you can use it in a combo make perfect sense. And so the reality stone just happening to reset this before another web ball comes in is a pretty esoteric thing. You also need to remember this game had a very, very short development time. The other thing is, I could totally understand this sort of thing slipping through way better than at the launch of Ultimate Marvel 3, where if Morrigan did Astral Vision, then Strider clung to a wall, then the camera would explode. And suddenly Phoenix Wright is walking towards the screen, throwing papers into the foreground.
And calling the dog, yeah.
Calling Whistle and Maya. Maya just going, ah, with the barrier. So, totally understandable. I presume this will be patched, and it's super easy to police, so the Infinite is clearly something that you're going to have lots of wacky content of people working out the setups for it, but so easy to ban that it's not really worth worrying about in tournament. We allowed it at the last monthlies because the game was so new and we had 5 entrants, and I thought it would just be funny to see if anyone would actually land it, and congratulations, Alex. You lived up to my expectations.
I got it a bit.
Wait, did you actually do it?
Yeah.
He did it one game.
Oh, yeah.
I think I got like 8 reps of it or something, yeah.
And you don't have to be
Amazing.
practicing like 20 minutes beforehand.
Yeah.
It is not very hard to set up at all.
It was good fun, yeah.
Good times. Reminder that there are next monthlies are on the 22nd for South Australians at Cyber Gaming HQ. Check them out. More people that enter, better the prize pots. So the other thing I was going to mention is, I thought it would be fun to just talk about other times that games have had known infinites and how they've been handled, or just ways that even the meta can actually make this a redundant concept. My favourite example of this is good old Chaos Breaker, Dark Awake the King Has No Name. So there's this Dark Elf character called Vritra, who has an infinite. The infinite is off of your jump C, which is your go-to jump in, and obviously it kills. But this infinite was allowed for the entirety of the game's life, and actually saw reduced popularity over time. Because, although it was off of a good jump in, Vritra actually got very little off of his lows and off of his throws. Whereas the jump-ins, like, you knew if he was doing any sort of overhead, you need to watch out. So people basically blocked high and then blocked low based on his position in relation to them. And just as soon as they blocked anything high, you always alpha counted. Just guard cancel, get him out of there. And considering that even if he didn't do the infinite, he would still get like 60 to 80% depending on position on the screen anyway, people really didn't worry about this combo that was harder to execute than the easy high damage stuff. Likewise, Insidor had an infinite in that game, but it required you to hit with a mid-hitting anti-air button. So it was like, if you've managed to get them in the right position to set this up, good for you. This combo's hard anyway. And there was a third infinite in that game, but it required you to be Goblin in the corner with meter, and they jump at you. And if all those conditions were met, then you got an infinite, which did about 10% of the opponent's life if you did it at the very start of a round. And it was just purely for timer scam. That combo's great.
Yeah, all the games I can think of with infinites that I've played have just got kill combos anyway, being Marvel 3 and Jackie Chan Fists of Fire.
Yes. Well, I mean, the Drunken Fist Jackie Chan Infinite is actually pretty serious stuff, and if we ever get a board of that and do more serious grinding out, that will quite change the meta up a bit. Because he can start that off of lows as well as doing it the correctly spaced whiff punish. So that is a scary combo, but he has no reversal. Whereas Chairman Jackie DPs you and then he stuns you.
And then you're dead. Yeah.
That's only Hyper Jackie gets it off of the DP starter.
Wait, do you guys allow Hyper Jackie or all those?
I wouldn't.
Usually
if I was
not,
running
no.
it, I wouldn't.
No.
Yeah, because it gives you what 2 OTGs, right?
Yes.
It does. So it lets you get a stun off every hit. Yeah.
So that's no good.
Yeah. So i.e. a kill combo off every hit.
The game is already high damage enough.
Yeah.
That game is so good.
Like, give you the chance to do the funny Oki where you like dash through them 3 times and they have no idea what's happening.
And then if they actually try to guess correctly, you do air fireball instead. Whoa. So some other games with notable infinites. Obviously, all the earlier Marvel vs. Capcom games are important because there were basically 2 sets of tournament rules depending on whether you allowed infinites or not. And the community at the time, in the late 90s, early 2000s, actually constructed tier lists based on whether you would allow or ban infinites. Because a lot of them are like, Chun-Li just does instant air dash buttons, or Wolverine does dashing medium punch. Oh no, they fixed that in this one, now you do dashing medium kick. Oh, they fixed that this time, you do dashing light kick in this one. I've probably mentioned before that basically everything in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is negative on hit. And it's because Wolverine kept getting combos which were infinites off of dashing normals. Which is why, like, you only get stuff through cancels in Marvel 2, basically. Like, even a lot of the supers are punishable on hit.
Oh, wow.
Except for Hailstorm, because it's the best. Marvel 2, of course, has the Iron Man combo, which there is a very wonderful video you can look up. If you want to learn an infinite in a game, you need to watch the video that teaches you how to do the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Iron Man combo. It is the most educational and thrilling video. I'm not going to spoil it here. You can look that up in your own time. There are actually a bunch of other things. I'm very glad that there was a Japanese Marvel 2 tournament recently where there was an Anacrus player who got the hit in. Because,
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, basically...
And he does the reset over and over?
Yeah, he has guaranteed combos into Curse, which leaves them unable to block or do anything. You just constantly... It's basically low fears, jump short, curse, land. Low fears, jump short, curse. And if you correctly time your curse as a meaty, and then on incoming, then you get guard crush low fierce into the curse, and then you just kill them from there. It's so good.
But yeah, H&K, that's the biggest example, and the most blatant example of infinites defining the meta.
Well, H&K's one where it literally saved the game. Because by SBO 2006, the game was just Toki. It was just Toki. Just because his neutral is so amazing, and if he takes away your stars, then the start of the next round, if he so much as sneezes on you, you're like, trade a jab with Toki? You're dead.
Those videos are the best. Like, round start, and he does a counter poke jab or something, and then just goes straight into it.
Yeah, it's like when he
Those
trades
are the
with the
best.
jab, it's like a DP while he's jabbing, and it trades because it's the tail end of the DP. And he's going, what? It's the best.
Someone should play that game with me.
I really want to. I have because I tried to play it before, when I had a laptop, and I couldn't emulate it. I'll try and learn some before SXE.
Yeah, learn a combo. Yeah.
I'll learn a combo.
It's fine.
I also want to play Jagi though, but I know that's no.
Don't do that to yourself.
I really shouldn't, but I really want to.
If you actually want to pick up and learn Hokuto no Ken, learn Toki or Rei. Just
Yeah,
learn Toki.
I'd probably just play Ray or not or Togi.
Yeah.
Both are good.
As I was saying, so when people discovered all the basketball glitches in Hokuto no Ken, where if you hit people enough times OTG, then due to the way that the gravity handles combo length, it will actually give you extra hit stun and make them bounce in the air forever. That saved the game, because then that meant everyone had a mean of killing the opponent if they could gather some resources.
Even Jaggy.
And then, like, player 1 Mr. Hard Infinite is also a thing. That also helps, you know. Did Mr. Hard have enough meter to combo into Super? You're gonna yonde masu and then go, you care.
You gotta keep spinning, yeah.
Do those lariats till they're dead.
But then, like, the other good part about them is that they're actually hard and entertaining at the same time.
Yeah.
What?
Now we have
kinda.
We have.
Wait, are they not hard?
Oh no, they're hard, but I was gonna say it's up for debate whether they're always entertaining.
They're usually entertaining.
You say that, but
yeah, look, I find them entertaining, but I'm sure you get desensitized to them.
yeah, it's like if you just watch a full Hokuto no Ken like casuals video on Archo, you'll get early on. You're going, yeah, man, Toki or Toki Ray or Ray. This is so good, man. Watch that Ray going whoop, fireball, whoop, bush, whoop. And you go, yeah, this is sick. This is the best. And then you've watched it like 5 times in a row, and you go, I'm so sick of this. Can we please just get a Kenshiro? Please. Then a Kenshiro hops on the cab, and he gets hit by whoop. D. I'm so sick of this game. Like, you do get sick of it. Toki, not so much.
Good in small bursts.
Because Toki, like, when Toki actually goes for a basketball combo, that's a quite rare thing. Because more often it's just more
to
go for the resets and the mix-ups with the team. It's like, Toki matches are always way more entertaining than Ray, because it's like, Ray either kills you after hitting the whoop, or he's built so much meter that he just does a reset and does the super, and just the entire screen is fireballs now, and if any of those fireballs hits you, which are bouncing off the walls, it's a freaking immaterial and missing power Oki setup. But if any one of those hits you, whoop, D, D, push, test, push, dash, push, whoop, push, time is up. And it's the worst.
But yeah, the top 8 of all the nationals, like at the start of the tournament, you're like, oh, Mr. Hard, Mummy, whoa, a Mummy player, that's sick. And yeah,
Come
you
on,
get to
Mint.
top 8, and then all the Tokis and Rays. Like,
Mint,
okay.
please save us, Mint, and then Mint dies.
You get that one, Kenshiro player. And he wins.
Yeah, the Kenshiro one.
Oh, that was so sick.
Anytime, like,
In the last, the co-op cup.
Now, we have series regular Fire Rider in the chat asking, what about those Fate Unlimited Codes combos? Here's the thing about Fate Unlimited Codes. Sakura, Caster, Gilgamesh all have infinites. Gilgamesh doesn't do the infinite, because he would prefer to just get some projectile Loki, or get back into his spear and cover most of the screen. And that's usually going to have better rewards than just dropping combos, because, like, in Fate Unlimited Codes, like, there's games where combos will drop on the side of the screen because the borders are inconsistent, and that's in a lot of fighting games. Hokuto no Ken's a good example, where sometimes the Toki stage will load incorrectly and the left-hand side of the stage will make corner combos drop. Fate Unlimited Codes...
Wait, what?
It lags more on the left side. I hate that damn stage.
What?
But Fate Unlimited Codes has these sorts of bugs. Like, that's a fairly common Capcom bug. That's in a lot of fighting games. It's just noticeable in that game because there's so many long combos. But Fate Unlimited Codes, it's a box. The stage is a box. And unlike a 3D fighting game where the combos are a bit shorter, or there's more consistent hitboxes, Fate Unlimited Code's hitboxes are completely insane. So if you try to go for infinites, you'll push them to the corner, but it'll be the wrong part of the corner. You've hit them at the horizontal part of the wall, or near one of the actual corners, where you're interacting with two walls, and they just go flying in a direction you have no idea where they are. But if you pick Lancer, not only do you need to not worry about this, because there's so much hit stun on him doing his spinny stick that you're going to win, but then you get this instant overhead versus instant low mix-up option from almost anywhere on screen. So you just pick Lancer. And that's why you don't do infinites and Fate Unlimited codes.
It's the Sam Show 5 Ukyo mix-up.
Oh, Samsho. We need to play some Samsho 5, Alex. I need to show you the power of Ukyo. You guys
We'll
can
play
pretty
that,
good,
and we'll
but
play
just real quickly.
Darkstalkers.
We'll be back in a sec.
Pretty good. It's basically just like you either do a half-screen instant overhead or you do a slide, which is really fast. And then when they wake up, you do it again. It's pretty great.
Sounds good.
And I think it was like in Sam Show 2, it's like the same thing, except instead of doing Tiger Knee, you have to do backdash and then cancel it into the air move, and it does the same thing.
The old backdash jump 2C with Kyo.
Pretty.
I'm used to that.
Yeah, it's basically like that, yeah. Wow, we haven't actually talked about Marvel Infinite that much.
We've talked about it a decent amount, but I think they shouldn't. What can we say about Marvel Infinite? I think
okay, here's the thing, right? So in Queensland, it was like first day, first meetup, right?
2 match is crazy. I don't
Sorry?
like that. I was saying 2 storms per match. I don't like that. Like, you get such a big chunk when your character dies that you get access to 2 storms per match.
Yeah, everyone I was playing had Soulstar, and it was just like, God damn it! Now I have to freaking deal with this crap again, even though I just burnt all my meter killing them. But then, I mean, because I play Reality Storm, because it's like, well, I don't know what to do. And it's just like he's a projectile, and then jumping over someone, doing Reality Stone, and then having them just block there, and then I go down and do an ambiguous cross up left right with Dante jump H it's pretty good. Like I don't even mean to do it
as well. Yeah,
I don't even mean to do it, and it just happens, and I'm like, oh sick, I got a hit, and then I do my big combo into stupid Oki.
Yeah, and then you activate.
Whoa,
I have no idea what you just said, mate.
Yeah, you just get wigged out.
Sorry, yeah, I was. I was in a
check
lift.
out that echo, everyone.
Oh my god, are you just like walking around on your phone?
Yeah. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Kieran's.
Okay,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I'm walking around in Kieran's. We drove to like Sadiq's, but then he drove to the beach, so that was a bust. But yeah, so I've been doing the podcast like while Colin's been driving me around the whole time.
Wow.
Excellent. That explains some of the slapping and tapping I've heard.
Oh
That's
yeah.
okay. Well, there's a podcast I've been listening to for years, and there are several episodes which was just the host taping it in his car while outside of a shack at the beach. And halfway through the conversation, you just be hear him saying, "Well, a cop car's just driven past, and hopefully they're not going to come over here and inquire what we're doing." Oh, there's a family who's looking a bit scared of us because we've got 2 people sitting in a car talking suspiciously with computers out in front of them.
Yeah, I had a couple of folks looking at me before, but I was saying, you activate reality, then you mash B, and hopefully you freeze like both of their characters.
Oh my god, man! Like I was getting hit in the combo, and I just mash on light kick, and then they get frozen, and I like attack, and then I have enough time to land on the ground and then do a combo
and get them.
Oh, it's so dumb.
This game's so funny.
But like. The interesting. Okay, so the thing is like all the Marvel guys in Queensland. So we all got together for like the first session, and we were playing it, and we were all having a really good time. And then like a week later, I asked Tree, I'm like, so how's the Marvel going? And it's like the council has decided it's Kusage. And then we're like, well, it had a good run. And then.
To be fair, a week is more than most anime games get.
That's true. I mean, like, it's still like... Yeah, consensus dropped a bit. I'm sure there's still, like, a couple of guys. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, Baxter's still gonna go hard on it or whatever, but... It definitely... It didn't... It wasn't what everybody wanted.
It's what I wanted. I'm happy with it. I just wish stories were better.
Like... Yeah, that too. I do wish throws were
God,
better.
anti-air normals as well are like worse compared to like the jab mash that you could get away with
Yeah,
in Marvel
it's
3.
amazing that like Marvel games aren't particularly known for amazing anti-air normals, unless it's like Sentinel standing roundhouse. But they're even that much worse in Marvel Infinite, so I guess that's another Skullgirls attribute.
Except Dante Crouch Heavy though. That move is so amazing. And the best part about it is if it whiffs or it's blocked, you can just bold cancel it on whiff.
And that's Dante in
And then
general.
you
Everything's bold cancelable. You're always
Yeah,
jump
look, we're
cancels
not
or
all
whiff.
Dante.
Well, maybe
Sorry.
you should be.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like I picked Dante Dormammu before I even knew that like they were really stupid.
You just
It
want to
just,
pick cool
you know,
people.
it just so happened that my team was ridiculously top tier.
Yeah, that is the Sonic Fox excuse in every game. I just pick who I want
Yep.
to, and then they wind up getting nerfed.
They happen to be top tier.
But then you see there's exceptions.
I was
Like
playing-
he was all in on Fung in Street Fighter V, and that's why he gets blown up in that game. Because
And then he stopped playing. Does he? He doesn't play it anymore, right?
he doesn't need to.
No.
Yeah,
He keeps
Yeah.
making that Warner Brothers money.
that's some pretty good money.
I was playing Spider-Man today. That character is wild. I cannot control that character properly.
Yeah, he feels a lot better than he did in Marvel 3. Though again, he's very much a character who benefits from the stage size and dimensions.
Yeah. I think he benefits from the hyper hop as well. He gets a lot of grimy stuff with the with access to hyper hop because his hyper hop's actually quite low. Because it does change a bit depending on the character, but yeah, his hyper hop's so low. You can do like hyper hop, jump D. You get like you can do that 8 times and it all combos on hit, and like it's like 8 overheads on block. It's wild.
That's pretty cool.
And if you did it with Space Gem and you just do a regular super jump into Space Gem the one time to adjust their position and then cross them up. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
I do like the gem moves themselves. Like, there's a lot of the mechanics that are just enjoyable. Having a button that he just pushes power and boom, I clocked him hard. I have Taiga magnetism without having to play Taiga. That's the best part of the Space Gem.
Yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of it's like the ideas are cool, but there just needed to be more time.
Yep, the game
put
just
into
needed
it.
more time.
Like, there's some real whack stuff, like
Yes.
like Gamora's gunshots,
Oh man.
throw-in Vaughn
There
for
is
some
one-
reason. It's
Okay,
like,
so I want to talk about that one
what?
for a bit.
Like, how'd that get through?
Oh no, here we go.
Okay, so
yeah.
what I'm assuming is that I presume that the game actually has throwable hitboxes determined for all moves, is what I assume is going to happen there. Because that's quite often how Capcom games are made, indeed a lot of fighting games. So the solution to that is to have... It's like, do you remember when Sagat had EX Tiger Shot gave meter? In, I think it was a build of Ultra Street Fighter 4 that happened.
Yeah, or was it? Yeah, A2012 or
And it might have
something
been
around that
2012
time.
as well.
Yeah,
Like, there's a bunch of times it's happened.
gave
and
a
it's
bit of meter.
usually because you've got this big table of attributes that you need to punch in, as well as having to put on specific properties like throwable hurt boxes on every single move. So on a back end,
Yeah.
like you just need a better, more efficiently designed back end, where stuff like that is just already incorporated into the game, and then you have throw in vol as an exception rather than as the rule. Because it's like that's not even the first time where projectiles had that. Akuma in Street Fighter 2 actually has that as well. His red fireball is throw in vol. So you walk up and try to throw him, and sometimes red fireball happens. I mean, it usually doesn't happen because his Tatsus are strike and throw in vol. So you just do Tatsus combos because it's Super Turbo Akuma.
It's
and
wheel kick.
there's very good reasons that guy is banned. But in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix, David Serlin's magnum opus, this bug, he actually forgot to fix it. It was on the to-do list, but the game went gold before he got around to doing it, and Capcom wouldn't let him do a patch. So, Akuma Red Fireball is still throw-in vol in that version of the game. It's also like...
I thought you were going to say he made it a feature.
No, he didn't. He at least had the sense not to do that, but when people were able to prove to him that that hadn't been completed as a task, that was part of his, okay, maybe we should ban Akuma, and then Dandai just consistently demonstrated the unblockable setup, and then won every single major until they banned Akuma, And so then he eventually, years later, finally admitted, okay, I screwed up with Akuma.
Make the queen throw invulnerable in chess 2.
Hey, those castles are already throw invul. They're also strike invul. That's why they can teleport.
They can teleport.
Okay, so
In
there's
regular
a faction,
chess, they can, yeah.
there is a
Oh,
not
that's
only
yeah, they
regular.
can, and yeah.
So there's a faction in chess 2, which is the Ghost faction, the Ghost and Nemesis faction, I believe it's called. So the Queen is the Nemesis, and the Rooks are the Ghosts. And what happens is the Queen and the Rooks can teleport to any space on the board except for the back row of the opponent's end. They can just teleport
that's
to anywhere.
dumb.
But
Damn.
the Rooks cannot kill anything. They cannot take pieces,
Whoa.
but they also cannot be taken.
Whoa.
So you can use them.
So they just block you.
Yeah, so you can just use them as ridiculously good obstruction tools.
Man.
I mean, you know what? Chess 2 actually does seem kind of fun.
You're selling me on chess.
No way.
You
Yeah.
hear this and you go, this game's sick. Then you remember this game has freaking bursts and burst baiting, and worse than that, it's injustice bursts. You have to wager meter,
wait.
and if they wager more meter than you when you take a piece, then the piece taking doesn't
that's
happen.
not Wait. So it's when someone takes your piece, and then you go, I want to use this much meter to stop them,
Yes.
and then they have to put
counter
more
wager.
meter than that.
Yes. So
Wager.
Wow.
The piece taking happens.
Oh, wager.
The
That is
sequel
so
to chess.
Man, I can't believe I played Injustice 2. God.
Ooh. The lost
you've seen the
episode
light
of the
since.
podcast.
That's $100 I could have
Alex, don't you
had
remember?
now.
Did you listen to the last show?
Oh yeah, you did it. You did it offline
We
with
did
Baxter.
we
Yeah.
did the Injustice episode. It was me saying, how's Injustice 2, Baxter? And I'm saying, what do you think it's like?
Oh, the cynicism.
Yeah,
Only the
it's
finest
pretty
in NetherRealm Studios games.
pretty good.
Oh man.
Though I will give credit to the community, it does seem like people have been saying MKX is better, and are actually going back to playing MKX, so good on you. Do that. Support the game you like more. That game has 1 million characters.
Not as many as Mortal Kombat Armageddon, I'll have you know, Pichy.
Yep, sorry. It's true, but that's the 3D Mortal Kombats, and we don't talk about those. Unless we're quoting cutscenes from MK4. Have you seen those cutscenes?
Yeah,
I didn't even know MK4 existed.
Oh,
Was
man.
it called MK4?
Yeah, Mortal
it's
Kombat
called
4.
MK4. Yeah,
Oh wow.
Oh, no.
it's
So
the
there is this
spiritual
series...
successor to War Gods.
Well, yeah, it's the game War Gods was a beta test for. Okay, so the most important thing you need to know about Mortal Kombat 4 cutscenes is there is a cutscene which is Sonya. Yeah, it's Sonya's ending cutscene.
Sonya's and Jackson's.
Well, no, actually, no. Yeah. So, well, Sonya and Jarek and Jax's. So, Sonya's is she says she's got Jarek, who's a Black Dragon guy who's introduced in that game, and she's got him cornered to a cliff, and she says, "It's over. Shinnok's dead. The good guys won." And Jarek's all, "I'm not gonna surrender to you." Blah blah blah, and he runs at Sonya, and then she knocks him off a cliff. And
he goes,
while he's falling off the cliff, he goes, "Uzukomaki!" And that's also pretty amazing. So then Sonya goes and reports back to the base. Good job. Okay, hey base, I've done it. I've stopped Jarek, and he's dead now. So that's the end of Sonya's cutscene. Then the Jarek version of the ending is the same thing plays out, but as Sonya starts talking to the base, you discover that Jarek didn't fall down the cliff. He held on, and he's climbed back on, and he grabs her by the ankle and pulls Sonya off the cliff. And then as he climbing the cliff, he walks away going, and it's great. But then the Jax cutscene is this sequence plays out again, but as he walks off and goes, Jax grabs him by the throat, saying, "Going somewhere, Jarek." Jarek tries to weasel his way out of the situation. As Jarek's whole Jax holds Jarek over the cliff, and Jarek, in his panic, says, "You can't do this to me! This is brutality! You can't do this to me!" Jarek says, "This is not brutality, Jarek. It's a fatality," and throws him off the cliff.
And then he goes,
Oh, man.
Yeah, and once again, Jarek goes, "What's a It is the best.
Oh dear.
You have to watch all of them. Like those ones, that's the best one.
The animations of
But the other
Scorpion
ones are
pointing his
also-
finger madly at Sub-Zero. So good. Yeah, Mortal Kombat 4 cutscenes are absolute gold. Up there with the plot of MK9. So, that just about covers everything that I wanted to talk about today.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about anything regarding Marvel? Anything else? What team are you playing right now, Pichy?
I don't own the game.
Yeah, when you've played with
so
people. what
whenever
team are you
I've
using?
actually got a copy of the game that I can grind out a bit with, because I don't particularly care about the game, but I care enough to actually kind of want to fiddle around and make stuff up in it. It'll be, like, I always wanted to play Captain Marvel, because Carol Danvers is pretty cool. It'll probably be Dante and Captain Marvel, because
Okay, yeah.
it's so much fun to just muck around with, and Captain Marvel is Captain Marvel, and, you know, it's so rare that I actually play a Tri-Jump character. The last time I played, I had a lot of fun mucking around with Hawkeye as well, and just doing Whiff Punish Gimli things. So it might be like Dante Hawkeye.
Okay, yeah.
And then I can, like, because Dante has fairly good zoning now, because it's like jump roundhouse, whatever the gun
Yeah, it does.
is very nice.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have anything that you would like to plug coming up? Anything happening in Queensland of note?
I'm studying about it.
Cool. No Sydney events that you
Not
want to
really,
plug
like-
over anyway? Come to the Guff?
I mean,
You just did your Anime Monthlies, correct?
we just did it. Oh, do not watch the vids. It was like, I mean, you can watch Blazblue. Blazblue was good.
Okay.
Is
that 'cause you won?
I mean, I won, but it was also good.
Okay,
Like we had
yeah.
Aki
I
there
respect
as
that.
well. Guilty Gear was like, first of all, like none of us gave a single shit about it.
Was
So, like,
this the
I
one
played
where you just turned
Johnny.
it into rock, paper, scissors, or was that Unio?
No.
Jesus.
That was Uni. I'll get that. Basically, no one cared until like the very last, the last match where Adam, well, he just wanted to win, so he picked Raven, and then things that he wanted to do weren't working, and he started making a lot of grunting of sounds, and yeah, if you watch it, and like it just degenerates so badly. Like we all wanted to just stop. And then with Unist, like, it just got to the point where everyone was just so tired and they didn't want to do anything anymore that we just did rock, paper, scissors, and then I won 3-0 against Adam.
Congratulations. So
Uh-huh.
basically, you won the Street Fighter V tournament.
Oh, have you registered for SXC yet, guys?
Yes, I was the
I'm-
second person to.
Nice, nice. I
I'm,
did it yesterday or today? Yeah, today.
Yes. Good man.
I'm waiting for. I'm gonna have to ask my boss if I can take the time off first,
Yes,
and then
get
I'm
on.
going to wait for a good flight sale, and then I'll register.
Cool.
Sounds good.
So I would like to mention
I'm
that if
already
you...
booked up with people, like hosting people, so you'll have to find your own, Stephen.
Hey, Pichy, can you host me?
Yes. That's
Okay,
cool.
sweet.
You were a
Got
fine
it.
guest, so it'll be okay. I will mention, if you sign up, we've got to put on that shameless plug voice. If you sign up for Southern Cross Championship 2017 by October 23rd, you will go into the draw to win an Ava Media Live Gamer Portable 2. So if you need an extra backup capture card in the event things explode like they did at the last monthly, enter. Otherwise, there's 4 people signed up at the moment, so Pichy has a 25% chance of winning something. That's better odds than he usually
know what?
has.
I feel like they should they should just keep it for the tournament first. There's so many stream problems. I hope you guys got it this time.
Yes.
Not in my hands. I don't know.
It's only partially in mine. Thanks
Yeah.
for listening, everyone. Don't forget to check out if you're in South Australia. We have more monthlies coming up. Let me bring up the monthlies text. Where's the text? Okay, it's not there. Where's my monthlies text? There we are. 25th of October at number 10 Lagunta Avenue, Edwardstown. There will be. We are officially running Street Fighter V, Guilty Gear, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and Tekken. So if you want to win money for those, the more people that turn up, the more money you win, because it's good old-fashioned conventional pots. As always, you can go to Esports Gym on the other Sundays and Wednesdays if you want some casuals in for $15 a pop.
Yeah, rock up, guys. Play with me. Play Blazblue with me. I'm talking to you, Alex. I'm talking to you, Travis. I'm talking to you, Juan. Man, I haven't played Blazblue for ages. Give me games.
The call-outs. You can play Vampire with me sometime. There will be Vampire at Southern Cross Championships, because I said, what the hell, I'll run Vampire and see who bites. So...
You'll probably get more than CVS2.
CVS2 is the god game of SXC, the patron saint. So check it out. We'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks, unless I do a show sooner than that, which I might do in the event that we get some neat announcements. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again after a while.